Hello and welcome to my first book haul video. These are all books I picked up for free at the Book Thing of Baltimore. And this was actually, although I got a pretty large number of books, this is what I consider rather a disappointing haul because there weren't so many books that I was super enthusiastic about. But one that I got that I was extremely enthusiastic about was Melmoth the Wanderer by Charles Robert Maturin. And this was a book that I'd been looking for a really long time. It's a take on the Faust legend, and I'm really excited to have it. I also got Regeneration, Telling Stories from Our 20s, an anthology by 20-somethings. Helena by Mrs. Humphrey Ward. And I got a couple of books about Gestalt therapy because Paul Goodman, who's a public intellectual from the mid-20th century, is someone I'm really interested in, and he became very interested in Gestalt therapy, so I'm just sort of curious what it's all about. I got Don't Push the River and Born to Win. I got this novel called Light Source by Barry Wood because I believe she was the co-author of some other book I have that was written in the 70s that I think was about encounter groups or something similar. So I'll check on that, and if it's not the same person, I will probably get rid of it because it doesn't look all that interesting. But I'm always very curious in following these people from the 60s and 70s and seeing what journeys they've taken. I got The Female Gaze, Women as Viewers of Popular Culture. The Letters of Sacco and Vanzetti. The Last Patrician, Bobby Kennedy, and the End of American Aristocracy. I've been actually looking for a more comprehensive biography on Bobby Kennedy because I've been curious about him ever since I found out that he named Aeschylus as his favorite poet. And anyone who's a fan of Greek tragedy is pretty interesting to me. But right now I'm making do with this one. I got Vietnam Now by David Lamb, does not have a dust jacket. And in case you're curious, Now is 2002. I'm very interested in the Vietnam War and its aftermath. A Fatal Inversion by Barbara Vine, or by Ruth Rendell, writing as Barbara Vine. Mating by Norman Rush. This is a novel that was pretty highly acclaimed, but never really sounded that interesting to me until I read a retrospective on the National Book Critics Circle website about it and decided it was something I might like to check out. The Reality Dysfunction by Peter F. Hamilton. Never heard of it before, but I'm always on the lookout for some interesting science fiction. Devices and Desires by P.D. James. Gravity's Rainbow, Thomas Pynchon. Solstice by Joyce Carol Oates. I was a big fan of Oates in, I guess, my preteens. She was probably one of the first adult contemporary authors I read, along with Richard Ford. And I'm not as huge a fan of her work now, but I like to go back every once in a while and check out something by her. This is The Triumph of Death by Gabriele D'Annunzio from Modern Library. Prisoner of Grace by Joyce Carey. The Tenants by Bernard Malamud. I've actually read only one novel of his called A New Life, but I'm really curious to check out more of his work. And I saw a preview for the film that was based on this, and the film looked really interesting, so why not read the book? This is Many Waters by Madeleine L'Engle, and I've actually read this before. I read her entire, or the 4 books in her Time series, when I was a little kid and then got rid of them all. And so I've been trying to find them again with the original covers because I figure at some point I may be curious to read them again. So this is the cover of Many Waters that I had as a kid. This is The Mother of Dreams and Other Stories, portrayals of women in modern Japanese fiction. Secondhand Smoke by Thane Rosenbaum. I'd actually never heard of this until I read an essay savaging it in the New Republic, and I'm just sort of curious to see what it is and if it's worthy of being savaged. And plus, Thane is a really cool name. This is Lost Summer by Alex Macaulay. I was drawn to it because of the MTV Press imprint. I'm sort of curious about what kind of books they publish. It looks like it's a thriller of sorts. Occasionally the Book Thing has some videos or music recordings, and I found the Best of Strauss. Open the Door by Catherine Carswell. Two volumes of the University Crisis Reader. I actually have no idea what this is. I just grabbed it off the shelf because sometimes with the Book Thing it just makes sense to grab what's there and then decide later on whether you want it or not. And if you don't want it, you can always take it back. And I'm very interested in the campus uprisings of the 1960s, and I have no idea if this has anything to do with that, but I guess I'll find out. Then I'm Dancing as Fast as I Can, which is supposedly a classic memoir of addiction. I tend not to be so much into the addiction memoirs, but I really liked one by Jill Robinson called Bedtime Story, and I wonder if this might be similar. Uncertainty by Wittgenstein. Never read anything by him, and I probably ought to. En toute innocence. I've actually never heard of this novel or this author, but I'm always curious to check out some interesting things in French. Report from Engine Company 82. I had actually never heard of this book until I saw David Goodwilly's Stacked Up interview, and he's one of my new favorite authors, and this was a book he mentioned, so it was there, it was free, why not? Next, Norman Mailer, Why Are We in Vietnam? I'm obsessed with Norman Mailer for some reason. The Seven That Were Hanged and Other Stories. A couple more random French books, L'Indécente and Prostituée, both of which sound a little racy. Les Aventures de Télémaque, classic French book that I'd heard of before. Another random French book by Omran Mikhail Ivanov. No idea what this is. Let's see if it's interesting. And last but certainly not least, An Orderly Man by Dirk Bogarde, one of my favorite actors, and I believe this is part of his autobiography. So if you've made it this far, thanks for watching, and I hope you'll tune in for my next video.